numbers, the use of fraction as an operator of. Nisha makes good tea. To make 1 cup of tea, she adds 2/3 teaspoons of sugar. How much sugar do you think she will need to make 5 cups of tea? Come on, think about it. In such situations, it becomes necessary to multiply fractions. Here, we need to multiply a whole number and a fraction. So let's learn how to do this. Nisha uses 2/3 teaspoon of sugar for each cup of tea. This is a fraction. In this fraction, the numerator 2 is smaller than the denominator 3. Such a fraction is called a proper fraction. We have to find out how much sugar will be required for 5 cups of tea. 2/3 teaspoon of sugar is required for 1 cup of tea, then 5 cups of tea will require 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. Here, we can see that 2/3 has been added 5 times. This can also be expressed in multiplication as 5 multiplied by 2/3. This way, 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 is equal to 5 multiplied by 2/3. Now what do we observe here? The denominator of all the fractions are equal. Fractions that have the same denominator are called like fractions. What do you call fractions that do not have the same denominator, such as 3/4, 2/3, 6/7, etc.? You're right. Such fractions are called unlike fractions. Here, we're adding like fractions. To add like fractions, we add the numerators and keep the denominator the same. Thus, by adding 2/3 5 times, we will get 10 by 3. Hence, the result of 5 multiplied by 2 by 3 is 10 by 3, which means that Nisha will need 10 by 3 teaspoons of sugar to make 5 cups of tea. So, we can say that when we multiply a whole number and a fraction, we multiply the whole number by the numerator of the fraction. The denominator remains the same. Here, the numerator 10 is greater than the denominator 3. Such a fraction is called an improper fraction. In 10 by 3, 3 is a whole number and 1/3 is part of a whole number. So, we can express 10 by 3 as 3 and 1 by 3. A fraction that is expressed as a combination of a whole number and a proper fraction is called a mixed fraction. If we have to multiply a mixed fraction by a whole number, how will we do it? Think about it. Let me explain it for you. For this, we will have to first convert the mixed fraction into an improper fraction and then multiply its numerator by the whole number and keep the denominator the same. Fractions are also used in the form of the operator of. Let us understand this. There are 6 bananas here. Can you guess what will be 2/3 part of these 6 bananas? Think a bit. Okay, let me tell you. Here, we first have to divide 6 bananas into 3 groups and take out 2 of these 3 groups. Hence, we can say that 2/3 part of 6 bananas is 4 bananas. We can also express this as multiplication. 2/3 part of 6 bananas is equal to 2/3 multiplied by 6. One way to solve that is that first we can multiply the numerator 2 by 6 and then divide the result 12 by 3. This would give us the result 4. We can also solve this using another method. First, we divide 6 by the denominator 3 and then multiply the result 2 to the numerator 2. This also results in 4. Thus, fractions are used in the form of operator of. Today, we have learnt multiplication of fractions and whole numbers and the use of fraction as an operator of. In the next video, we will learn about multiplication of 2 fractions. We learned about multiplication of fractions and whole numbers and use of fractions as an operator of. Based on this, we will now learn how to multiply 2 fractions. Suppose we have to find out how much is half of 4 by 5. Let us find out. Here, the fraction 4 by 5 represents 4 parts out of 5 equal parts of a whole. To find half of it, we will create 2 groups of these 4 shaded parts and take one group out of them. This group represents half of 4 by 5. If we observe, this part is made up of 2 parts out of all the 5 parts of the whole number. Hence, it can be expressed as 2/5. Therefore, we can say that half of 4 by 5 is equal to 2 by 5. We can also find this by multiplying half and 4 by 5. We shaded 4 of the 5 parts of a square and denoted the fraction 4 by 5. Similarly, we will represent half in the same way. If we place them one above the other, the common shaded portion of both will be the result of their multiplication. As you can see, there are a total of 10 parts out of which 4 are common shaded parts. So this part is 4/10 of the full square. If we transform these 10 equal parts into 5 equal parts, there are 2 common shaded parts out of the 5 equal parts. Hence, we can write 2 by 5 instead of 4 by 10. Thus, we can say that half of 4 by 5 is half into 4 by 5, which is equal to 2 by 5. Or the half of 4 by 5 is the same as 2 by 5. To multiply two fractions in mathematics, we multiply the numerators and denominators separately and express the result as the product of the numerators divided by the product of the denominators. For example, 4/5 into half is equal to 4 into 1 divided by 5 into 2, which is equal to 4 by 10, which is also 2 by 5. Therefore, whenever a fraction is used as an operator of, we should perform the operation multiplication. Today, we learn multiplication of fractions. In the next video, we will understand this multiplication more clearly using examples. Example 1. If Meena cuts 2/3 of a ribbon which measures 9/10 meter, then how long is the ribbon that she has cut? To know the length of the ribbon cut by Meena, we have to calculate 2/3 of 9/10 of a meter. Suppose we have a ribbon with length as 1 meter. If we divide it into 10 equal parts, then 9 parts out of 10 of this ribbon can be expressed as 9 by 10 meters. We have to find out 2/3 of this. So we will make 3 equal parts out of these 9 parts and take 2 of the 3 parts. As you can see, Meena has taken 6 parts out of the total 10 parts of the meter. Therefore, we can say that the ribbon taken by her is 6/10 meters long. It can be expressed in simpler form such as 3/5 of a meter. In mathematics, we solve this by using multiplication. In this example, to get 2/3 of 9/10, we will multiply 2/3 by 9/10. Here, we can multiply the numerators and denominators separately. But if we look carefully, 9 can be divided by 3. Similarly, 10 can be divided by 2. By dividing in this way, we will get the length of the ribbon as 3/5 of a meter. Next example. 1.5 liters of milk was kept in a large vessel. If Harish drinks 1/4 part of it, then tell me how much milk did he drink? Harish drank 1/4 part of 1.5 liters of milk. We can find the amount of milk he drank by multiplying 1/4 and 1.5. To solve this, first, we will express the mixed fraction 1.5 as an improper fraction. For this, we will multiply denominator 2 by the whole number 1 and add the result 2 to the numerator. By this, we will get the numerator of the improper fraction as 3. Then, we keep the denominator as 2, so the improper fraction of 1.5 will be 3 by 2. Now let's find out what will be the product of 1 by 4 and 3 by 2. In the previous video, we learned that in order to multiply two fractions, we multiply their numerators and their denominators separately and write the result as the product of the numerators divided by the product of the denominators. So, numerators 1 into 3 is equal to 3 and denominators 4 into 2 is equal to 8. 1/4 into 3 by 2 is equal to 3 by 8. Hence, we can say that Harish drank 3/8 of a liter of milk. Today, we saw some examples related to multiplication of fractions. In the next video, we will see some misconceptions and some common mistakes related to multiplication of fractions. Misconception 1. Which of the following statements represents the shaded part of the given picture as a multiplication statement? Children often try to learn multiplication of fractions by rote. They're unable to understand its concept. This is why the shaded portion of the given picture is expressed incorrectly as multiplication, as some children think that there are 4 shaded parts in each rectangle, so the shaded portion of 3 rectangles can be detected by this multiplication 3 into 4. So they would choose option 1 as the correct answer. However, this is wrong. The correct understanding is that 4/6 part is repeated 3 times. Therefore, while multiplying, we will write 3 into 4 by 6. Hence, the correct answer is option 2. It is important to note that there are 3 complete figures for each of which 4/6 part has been taken. Therefore, we can also express it as 4 by 6 into 3. Misconception 2. Nisha bought 3/4 kg potatoes. Out of this, she used 3/5 portion to cook vegetables. Find out how many kgs of potatoes have been used. Here, Nisha has used 3/5 of 3/4 kg of potatoes to cook. To find out how many kgs of potatoes have been used, we have to find out how much is 3/5 of 3/4 kg. For this, we have to find the product 3 by 5 into 3 by 4. For this, we multiply the numerators and get the numerator of the result as 9. Similarly, we multiply denominators and get the denominator of the result as 20. Therefore, the correct result is 9 by 20 kg. That is, option 2 is the correct answer to the question. Some children are unable to understand the question given. They believe that in order to find out how many kilos of potatoes did Nisha cook, they have to subtract 3/5 from 3/4. As a result, they get the wrong answer. Now let us look at some common mistakes made during multiplication of fractions. When children are asked to find the product of any 2 fractions, such as 2 by 3 and 3 by 4, some children multiply the numerator of the first fraction by the denominator of the second fraction, and the numerator of the second fraction by the denominator of the first fraction. Then they add them. This is wrong. The correct method is that the numerator of the result is the product of the numerators of the given fractions, and the denominator of the result is the product of the denominators of the given fractions. Therefore, the correct answer is 6 by 12, which can also be expressed in its simplest form as 1 by 2. Some children use fractions incorrectly as operator of. For example, if they're asked what will be 2/3 of 6, then they try to subtract 2/3 from 6. This is a misconception. It is important to understand that whenever we use the operator of, it means we have to multiply. Hence, here we do 2 by 3 into 6, which will result in 4. If the denominators of the 2 fractions are not equal during multiplication, then some children try to make them equal. This is a misconception. To multiply 2 fractions, the numerators and the denominators are separately multiplied and written in place of the numerator and the denominator of the result. Today, We've learned some common misconceptions and mistakes related to multiplication.